I asked AI to take this thumbnail and turn it into a Ghibli style image. 1 minute later, this was the result I got. Now, I know what you're thinking, it looks amazing. That's what I thought too, until I replaced it with my thumbnail, and it didn't take long before people began to criticize it. But why? How can an image that looks this good get this much hate? I mean, clearly, the quality isn't the issue. The image itself looks great. So, what's really going on here?
Yesterday, OpenAI dropped a little bit of a surprise on us.
If you were on the internet over the past couple of days,
you may have seen some anime-style pictures circulating the internet recently.
You've probably seen these images pop up everywhere, and depending on who you ask, it's either the greatest invention over time,
a lot of AI art is literally better than most artists' best working,
or a threat to creativity itself.
I really f***ing hate generative AI.
Everybody has their own feelings about that. You. You.
Viewed as both good and bad, it's the world of artificial intelligence, or the other terms associated with it, AGI, superintelligence, generative AI, from the bold predictions about its potential.
I mean, will we still need humans?
A lot of the code in our apps is actually going to be built by AI engineers.
Not for most things.
To the jaw-dropping headlines and billion-dollar figures.
Announcing the formation of Stargate, a new American company that will invest $500 billion in AI infrastructure.
There was a time when AI was clunky, an experiment really, and it didn't seem like a threat. But now, things have changed. A lot.
If you are an artist, this has been a really bad week for you. And I want to promise you that it's going to get worse. Go be a plumber or something like that.
What is this art that people are so mad about?
I don't consume the method.
It's just AI.
I consume the product.
We should do an art stream, give ChatGPT something to animate.
I'm surprised the politicians aren't talking more about AI. I think that's the next wave.
And then give real artists something to animate and paint.
What if we just paid artists? What if you just up?
For many artists, it began here. What you're looking at is a piece of artwork by an artist called Jason Michael Allen, also known as Incarnate. On August 26, 2022, this artwork was submitted to an art competition, alongside many other pieces from different artists. Looking at them, I think it's obvious that Jason's art stands out compared to the rest. One of the judges, Dagny McKinley, who's an author and art historian, remembers walking past his canvas and being immediately drawn in. People looking out into another world, everyone with their backs to you. You get interested. What are they seeing? She said. She compared it to the Renaissance art. Another judge said the piece's textures and lighting reminded him of Gustave Moreau. They were all comparing it to some of the greatest artworks in history. And as you might have guessed, Space Opera Theater, the name Jason gave his artwork, ended up receiving the most votes, winning first place and earning a cash prize of $300 plus $1,500 from 2 sales of his art. What the judges didn't know though was that this artwork wasn't painted by hand or even created by a person at all. It was entirely generated by AI. Jason had used a program called Midjourney, where he simply typed in a text prompt and let the AI do the rest. An artwork made by machine had just won a competition where everyone else made their art by hand, and no one realized. They only found out when he posted this message on Discord shortly after winning, revealing that he had entered and won first place in an art competition with an AI-generated image. And what happened after everyone found out, you may ask? Where do I even begin?
A man from Colorado in the United States has created
this piece of artwork using his computer
and an artificial intelligence program.
His piece won first place at the state fair.
Actual artists who got beat out are not happy.
This piece of art right here, believe it or not, was created using AI, or artificial intelligence.
AI artwork
was created by artificial intelligence.
An AI art tool called Midjourney.
Alan created it using AI.
It was like suddenly the term AI was just everywhere. Everyone started using this new technology, generating hundreds of millions of images. New apps started launching, like Stable Diffusion and DALL-E 2, which only added more fuel to the fire. People were using this new software to troll on the internet. You had images of Pope Francis in a puffy white jacket, Donald Trump getting arrested, an explosion at the Pentagon, even Vladimir Putin kneeling down to the Chinese president. These were all AI-generated images that everyone thought were real. And besides trolling on the internet with funny images, there were people who used this technology to make real money. A friends group called Obvious began making AI art and selling it for tens, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars. One of their works sold for almost $500,000. The Girl with the Pearl Earring, one of the world's most famous painting, usually hangs in the Morch House Museum, but because it was loaned out to another museum for an art exhibition, rather than leaving an empty wall, they decided to hold a competition, inviting artists from around the world to submit their own versions of the iconic painting. And the winner will have their work displayed in its place. That was a huge opportunity for underground artists. 3,500 of them took part, each hoping for the once-in-a-lifetime chance to finally get some exposure. The winner of this competition was an AI-generated image by digital artist called Julian. AI art had become more relevant than ever, and while all of this was happening, there was another side to the story from people who were far more skeptical, especially artists.
Did the person who won the award create the program? Should the person who did create the program have credit in the award?
Jessica, an artist who also took part in the competition, ended up taking third place. To her, and to many other artists, this didn't feel like a fair loss.
So we've seen art theft before, but we've never seen it at this level.
Carla Ortiz is a well-known illustrator and concept artist. Her work had been scraped into a massive AI image dataset without her knowledge.
And that to me felt really invasive because I had never given anyone my permission to do that.
People were literally typing her name into Midjourney to generate knockoff versions of her style. Carla Ortiz may have been the first major voice to speak out, but there were countless other artists facing the same problem, like Greg Rakowski, for example, whose name had been used over 400,000 times in Midjourney prompts. These were people dedicating their careers, sometimes spending hundreds of hours on a single painting, only to be uncompeted and taken advantage of by a machine, losing competitions, prize money, and even their jobs.
I have never worried about my future as an artist, until now.
It got to the point where Carla Ortiz, alongside other artists, got together and filed a lawsuit against these AI companies for stealing their work. When that AI-generated artwork won first place, that moment was a spark that lit a fire that grew so fast it became almost impossible to stop. And it all began here, with a single invention and a successful experiment. It's 2015. That's when this really begins.
The model will be looking at image. So for example, this image, the model will take a look at that image and it's going to describe it with a sentence.
Here you can see a picture. Looking at it as human beings, we can easily understand the contents of this image and describe what's happening. A father plays volleyball with his son on the beach. That kind of description might seem simple to us, but for a computer, that could be a game changer, because instead of storing images with random letters and numbers as names, we could have a caption, a sentence that actually describes the image itself. That could really help and improve image browsing. You could search for 2 yellow cars and easily find what you're looking for. But there was one big problem. There are billions of images online, and new ones are being uploaded every second. It would be impossible to manually caption them all. Although deep learning algorithms could already label objects in images, they couldn't really describe them in natural sentences. So computer scientists began working on something new in AI research: automated image captioning. Instead of doing it manually, we could have a machine describe images automatically at scale. It was brilliant, and it worked. The AI wasn't just identifying objects anymore, it was starting to understand and describe entire scenes. And that made one group of researchers from the University of Toronto curious. What if you flip the process around?
We could do image to text. Why not try, doing text to image as well and see how it works?
It was a much harder task. They didn't want the AI to just search for existing images like Google search does. They wanted to create something that didn't exist before, a completely new image generated from nothing but words. The computer model was trained on already existing photos. It knew what a toilet in a bathroom looked like, what a herd of elephants in their natural habitat. But what if you asked it for something it has never seen before? Will it actually try to generate it? So they gave it a try and asked it to generate things like a herd of elephants flying in the blue skies, or a toilet seat sits open in a grass field. And it did. The results were tiny 32 by 32 pixel blurry images that were barely recognizable and more like a colorful smudge than a scene. They tried more prompts, like a stop sign is flying in the blue skies, a bowl of bananas is on the table, a rider on a blue motorcycle in the forest, and a vintage photo of a dog. These were the very first AI-generated images created from a single sentence. Maybe not much to look at, but the 2015 experiment from those researchers showed the potential for what might become possible in the future. And the future is here.
This is simultaneously really impressive and
really frightening at the same time. Absolutely ridiculous how far we've come in literally 1 year. This stuff is really good.
Generative AI has taken a massive leap. It went from messy, incoherent blobs of images and videos, things that barely made sense, to visuals so sharp and detailed you can't even tell if they're real or not. Everyone's first reactions looking at this is like,
oh my god.
Wow.
Wow. This is so scary.
Oh, that looks good. Chat, holy. I love this one. Chat, that is kinda cool though.
This is shocking.
And now, with the recent release of OpenAI's new image generator, things have gone to an entirely new level. It can now generate images with perfectly clean text without any typos, something previous models consistently struggled to get right. We're seeing people recreate anime scenes, even entire movie trailers, all using AI, like this guy who recreated the whole Lord of the Rings The Fellowship trailer in Studio Ghibli style in 9 hours with just $250, something that would have taken an entire animation studio weeks to pull off. And that's just one example of many. All over the internet, people are using this to create advertisement posters, magazine covers, realistic photos, selfies, crayon drawings, surreal concept art, action figures, video game covers, YouTube thumbnails, movie posters, comic strips, memes, sarcasm, satire, brand advertisements. Just by scrolling through these, you get amazed at how good some of these are. And it makes you wonder, if we went from this to this in 6 years, to this in just 4, what is it going to look like in 2 years from now?
I think it's interesting that if you asked people 10 years ago about how AI was going to have an impact, with a lot of confidence from most people, you would have heard, first it's going to come for the blue collar jobs, working in the factories, truck drivers, whatever, and then very last of all, and maybe never, it's going to take the creative jobs. And it's really gone and is going exactly the other direction.
For a long time, we thought of artificial intelligence as a tool, something to help us get rid of boring, repetitive work so that humans can focus on what makes us special. But things didn't go the way we expected. Instead of just helping with manual labor, AI is now coming for the very work we thought was safest: creative jobs, artists, writers, designers, musicians. That's why so many artists are scared, because the one thing they thought was untouchable, their creativity, is now under threat, and there is not much they can do about it. They've tried to fight back, accusing AI companies of stealing their work, but so far it hasn't stopped anything, because legally it's complicated. At first glance, it seems obvious that if AI trains on someone's work, it will pay for it. But let's say, for example, we have a musician who produces a song in a particular genre. How did they learn to do that? Where did their ability to produce songs in that genre came from? It came from listening to songs by other musicians in the same genre, absorbing the style, the structure, the rhythm, and then creating something entirely new. In our society, that is not considered theft, and it's accepted. And that's exactly what AI does as well. It doesn't just copy and paste, it absorbs patterns across millions of examples and generates something new. That's no more stealing than what a person does when they do the same thing. The only difference is that it's doing it at a massive scale. When cameras were invented, people said the same things they're now saying about AI. With a click of a button, you could create an image in perfect detail. Does that count as art? Can photos compete with paintings? At the Girl with a Pearl Earring art competition, the winner wasn't only one artwork. It was actually 5 that were chosen to hang in place of the original painting, and surprisingly or not, the rest of the selected artworks were photographs that had been taken with a camera. Out of 3,500 hand-painted submissions, the winners were 4 photos and 1 AI-generated image. So if AI tools are considered cheating, then what about cameras? AI's impact goes beyond paintings or photography. It's transforming entire creative industries. What once required teams of skilled artists now only takes one person and the right prompt. That is powerful, but terrifying at the same time, because where does that leave the illustrators, the designers, the animators, the people who spend years perfecting their craft? AI has entered our lives and is here to stay whether we like it or not, but if we choose to use it wisely, it could be one of the greatest tools humanity has ever created. Animation has always been brutally difficult. In one of Miyazaki's films, an animator spent 15 months, over an entire year, just to create a 4-second scene. It's exhausting, grueling work, and often animators are paid very little for it. AI will replace animation as we know it, but it will help animators bring their ideas to life much faster with less effort. Instead of spending years drawing frame by frame, they'll finally be free to live a more peaceful life with less endless labor and focus more on storytelling and creativity. AI will replace teachers, tutors, but world-class education will become accessible for everyone. We all know that a private tutor can help you learn faster and more efficiently than a regular classroom teacher. AI will become the ultimate private tutor, capable of tailoring lessons to every student's unique needs. AI will replace doctors, but everyone will have access to the best medical care possible. Imagine having a family doctor who has seen hundreds of millions of patients, who knows your DNA, understands the DNA of your relatives, and has every medical test you've ever taken. AI could dramatically improve diagnosis accuracy and suggest treatments that no single human doctor could match. Already today, an AI system working alongside a doctor makes far fewer errors in complex cases than a doctor alone. AI will replace all drivers, but traffic accidents and deaths will essentially drop to zero. Last year, 1.2 million people lost their lives due to road traffic crashes worldwide, and 30 million more were injured, many left with long-term disabilities. If every car on the road were autonomous, they could all communicate with each other in real time, meaning no more crashes from human mistakes. AI could replace every routine job in the future, but it also has the power to dramatically improve our lives and increase our productivity. And that's not a distant future, it's already happening. Self-driving cars are getting more advanced every year. Tesla has even announced a model without a steering wheel, expected to launch within the next year or two. ChatGPT is being widely used by students everywhere to help with their homework. Coca-Cola used AI to create its entire 2024 Christmas commercial. Video games like Catly and High on Life both use Midjourney to generate graphics and in-game posters. Minecraft was recreated from scratch by an AI model trained entirely on gameplay footage. And AI influencers now exist who act and look like real humans, and they're even getting paid to promote products. But at the same time, AI is advancing faster than anyone expected. Soon, it will be impossible to detect AI-generated videos from real ones. Deepfakes and misinformation will flood the internet, making it harder than ever to know what's real and what's fake. And that's not even the biggest threat. Right now, AI is still a tool we control. But what happens when it becomes smarter than we are? Not just faster at answering questions, but better at solving problems, making decisions, even influencing what we think. At that point, it's no longer just a tool. It becomes something we rely on, but no longer fully understand. And once we lose that control, we may never get it back. And this is the crossroads we've arrived at. Do we resist this technology because it's too powerful, or do we embrace it and figure out how to live with it?